Hello, I'm Jim Cornwall, and this is the WalkingPost.com podcast. WalkingPost.com is the news website dedicated to walking, with all the latest on gear, trails, health, events, festivals, fitness, books, and more. This podcast is number 46, and it's going live on March the 27th. It was a warm enough weekend, which we are now paying for, but summer was nice while it lasted. In the end, last weekend we headed down to the Outdoor Expo in Birmingham, which was very enjoyable, although it was packed, and met a lot of nice people too. We didn't buy anything, but we did grab a few business cards and flyers to hopefully arrange some interviews in the coming weeks. Unfortunately, we couldn't take public transport, seeing as there were still issues with Glasgow station at the time, and all trains from our nearest station have to go through there. Let's get to March the 27th. And before I say anything, don't forget the clocks spring ahead this weekend, at least in the UK. I know they've already done that in North America. Used to be that you had to reset about a dozen clocks, and now it's pretty much all automatic. Okay, March the 27th is World Theatre Day, Wear a Hat Day, which I've done this morning already. It's Whiskey Day, and the day the world's worst ever plane disaster took place in Tenerife. It's the birthday of Wilhelm Röntgen, inventor of X-rays, and Tony Banks from Genesis, and that's the band, not the book in the Bible. For this week's interview, we're going to Lincolnshire for a walking festival in a conversation with Sally Cade, events officer at South Kesteven District Council. Before we get going, if you do have news, guest ideas, or even subjects to cover or comments, or if you want to advertise, please do get in touch via walkingpost.com, or you can just email me at jim@walkingpost.com. Okay, let's go through some of the headlines of the news articles you may have missed that we had on walkingpost.com this past week. King Charles has inaugurated the England Coast Path, and he did so at the Seven Sisters, not the tube station, but a spectacular spot just outside of Eastbourne in Sussex. Is it better than the White Cliffs of Dover? Well, we'll let Kent and Sussex fight over that one. An old railway line has become a new walking route in Paisley, which is close to Glasgow Airport. A new Coast Path walk showcases Ipswich attractions, and plans have been approved for a new Exeter to Cranbrook walking and cycling route. Funding's been provided for Norfolk walking projects. Work is starting on a medieval town wall trail, and that's in Great Yarmouth. And the first walking bus set off in Witney to help children start the day active. Dubai is looking to transform into a pedestrian-friendly city, and you can read all of these and more at walkingpost.com. It's funny reading about Dubai being a walking city. When I was there last, I walked all over the place. It is hot though, and when you're walking to a specific destination, as I was, it was pretty much along a very busy road, and I was the only person walking alongside it. I really thought when I was in Dubai that my streak of being asked for directions in every single place I've ever been was under threat. But no, on my way back that day, a couple from Belgium asked me where the old market was, and as I'd walked past it that morning, I knew I was going in that direction, so I showed them where it was. And they thanked me by buying me a drink at a cafe, as we were all absolutely tired from the heat. I forget what kind of juice I opted for, but whatever it was, I could have drunk 10 of them. Anyway, let's get to the conversation, and it is about the South Kesteven Walking Festival, which is coming up next month. It's an area that I know reasonably well, as I'd go walking in both North and South Kesteven when I was a teenager. To tell us all about the festival is Sally Cade, events officer at South Kesteven District Council.
So the South Kesteven Walking Festival, South Kesteven as a district had a walking festival quite a few years ago now, definitely before the pandemic, and we are very excited to be bringing it back in April this year. So I'm the events officer here at South Kesteven Council, and I am relatively new in my role. So with sort of my direction and input from the community, we decided to bring the Walking Festival back to the district.
All right. Is it going to be similar to how it was before, or is it an entirely new project?
It's quite a new project. It's quite similar to people local might have been to the North Kesteven Walking Festival. It's a very similar way of doing it. We've reached out to community groups and partner organisations across the district who are running walks for the festival, and then we've also been able to programme a few walks ourselves, doing something a little bit different that our community groups wouldn't be able to do normally. This year, we are just looking at exploring the district, seeing what's out there, and bringing people to either new walking groups or new community groups they haven't met before, or getting people out on a walk they've not done before.
Could you maybe give me a bit of background on the area?
So South Kesteven is the very southern point of Lincolnshire. It borders Rutland, Leicestershire, Nottinghamshire, Cambridgeshire, that corner. Our three market towns are Grantham, Bourne and Stamford, and it's an absolutely beautiful little district, I have to say. It's easy to visit. I mean, the A1 runs all the way through the middle of it, which makes it very easy just to get off and enjoy one of the walks. And in terms of landscape, it's not the flat bit of Lincolnshire, but it's not particularly steep. It's Lincolnshire after all, and the landscape is dotted with country houses, as well as quaint little villages and market towns.
You said that you're just doing walks this year. How many are you going to be doing? What's the format for the festival?
In our programme, we have just over 40 walks. I want to say 43. And we've got a huge range of things from hikes across the Belton House estate, which is a country estate in the edge of Grantham. We've also got some walking theatre going on. So we've got some theatre groups actually from Scotland are coming down to put on a walking adaptation of the Tempest. So the whole audience will go on the walk with the performers, and the play plays out on the walk, which is going to be good fun. We have history walks designed for families, as well as some very relaxing just community walks, get to know people. So it's a big mix. We've also been able to add walking tennis, which has been quite a fun addition to help people get active again.
And what about the length of them? Are there a range of lengths?
Yes, considerably so. So there are some which are just like maybe 3 miles just round a town centre or a public woodland, but there are some much longer hikes that travel much larger distances. I'm just going to find the example. So I think our longest one is about 12.5 miles, and that takes you round a place called Londonthorpe Woods with one of the National Trust rangers. You go through their deer park, and then we have shorter ones and ones where there are stopping points. So if somebody wanted to stop the walk earlier, they could. And we've also done really well in getting some pushchair and wheelchair accessible walks, which is going to be a really nice addition.
Yeah. And what about children and dogs? Are they welcome on walks?
They're welcome on some of them. In the programme, there's a handy guide just next to the title of each walk, which gives you an idea of who it's suitable for. A lot of them are suitable for children. Our walking history tour of Bourne is completely aimed at families and children, so it's very interactive. We also have some walks that are aimed at dog walkers. The National Trust are running a guided dog walk around their estate, which is really nice. And there are also some wellbeing walks in Bourne and Market Deeping that are dog friendly as well. So it's a nice mix. There's something for everyone, which is really nice.
All right. When does it take place?
So the Walking Festival starts on the 11th of April and it runs through to the 26th of April. So for people down in Lincolnshire, that'll be the last week of the Easter holidays, and then a week not in the Easter holidays. That might not be the same across the country. Whenever we put something on, we think about the counties next to us and try and make sure that we cover as much Easter break as we can.
The walks, are they accessible in terms of, public transport or car parking, carpooling?
So most of the walks have car parks as their starting location, just to make it easier for people. Public transport is available in this part of Lincolnshire. However, some of the more rural walks in the villages are going to be much harder to get to through our bus links. When it comes to the ones in our main towns, they'll be easy enough to access via bus or train, as well as driving.
All right. And are there limits on numbers for any of them?
On some of them there are. There are a lot of them that are completely open to anyone who wants to join. There are some that require booking. A lot of the National Trust ones require booking. Our theatre productions require booking, purely so that we know how many people are coming. However, there are a lot. I think the majority of them don't have limits, and you don't have to book. You can just turn up.
Is there a cost to any of them?
That will depend on the walk you want to go and do. Most of them are free. There are a few that are asking for suggested donations to the community group that are running them, and there are some that have a small cost. I know one of our theatre productions has a £5 ticket cost, but that also covers teas and coffees when you're there.
I was going to say a coffee can be £5 these days in some places. So.
Exactly.
You said that this was a resurrection of the earlier festival. How difficult was it to get groups to lead walks or individuals?
Surprisingly easy. There's been a lot of support for the festival locally. I've had lots of people say, oh, it's a really good idea, I'm really glad it's happening. I've also had community groups who weren't able to submit a walk for this year's programme say they'd really love to. Hopefully you're running it next year so that we can put our walks in as well. So it's had a really good reception already, and I was not expecting, when I put this out into the world, to get over 40 walks back. First time round, we set ourselves a very reasonable goal of 20, and we definitely went way past that, so we're very excited about it.
Do you plan on doing it again next year?
We're hoping to. That's all I can say.
Right, yeah, because quite often with these things, as soon as one finishes, you have to start thinking about the next one. So
once we've reviewed it, seen what the feedback's been, we will be putting a plan together to see if it'd be achievable, or even if people would actually want it next year as well.
Where are you hoping people come from? I mean, what's the catchment area?
So we're hoping that people come from the local community. So initially this was to try and get people to go do something new on their doorstep. However, a lot of the walks are either guided walks that are not usually done, or in places that people might not have visited. There's a really exciting one at a Nattergal reserve called Boothby Wildland, and they've been in the press recently. They've just released beavers onto their site, so it's going to be quite an exciting walk to go on. We imagine most of the people are either going to be from South Kesteven or from the surrounding area, so it's sort of the east of Nottinghamshire, North Kesteven, Lincoln, Peterborough, Rutland. So we're not expecting it to be people travelling from all over.
Yeah.
Definitely recommend it if you're in the area.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. You've got quite a lot of fairly big places, not right next to you, but close enough that it's quite a big area that you can draw from.
And with this being the first, we're expecting it to mostly be local people, so mostly people from the South Kesteven area. But hopefully, if it is able to grow, we will start looking at our advertising further afield, which would be really nice.
And again, with it being the first, how are you doing that marketing of it? Is it website, brochures?
So we have got it on our websites, on the Guildhall in Grantham and the Stamford Arts Centre. We have also done a lot of social media about it. We've been putting posts out on a regular basis, highlighting all the walks. We've been able to get into local papers, which has been very exciting. We've also been able to distribute postcards across the district to community centres or community hubs, and these have information about the walks and a QR code on the back, which takes you directly to the programme.
Where do people go to book? What's the web address?
So if you go to guildhallartscentre.com and then search in the What's On section for the South Kesteven Walking Festival, if you just click What's On, there's a little tab that takes you directly to the festival events, and then on the main event you'll be able to find the brochure.
And I guess if you just went into a Google search and typed in South Kesteven Walking Festival, you'd get it too.
You will probably get it too, yes. Almost
Yeah.
certainly.
It sounds like it's going to be a really nice festival. Are there any walks around there that you particularly like? If you go walking?
I do go walking. I have done a lot of walking on the Belton House estate, not the house and garden side of it, but the bigger country estate. They've got London Thorpe Woods as well. I'd really recommend those. You can get quite a nice long circular route that goes through the woods up to a place called Belmont Tower, which is a folly built by the people that own Belton House. And then you can loop back round, and they've got a really big deer park with the most chilled out deer you'll ever see. They genuinely don't care that people are there. There'll be people having picnics, and they'll just be like loitering around nearby. There's no fear. So they've got a really big deer park, and it's just a really nice place to wander through, a nice bit of landscape, and it's a nice hill to climb, which I quite enjoy. Feels like a sense of achievement. You can get to the top of the hill and you'll see the town below you, which is really nice.
And hopefully it's well subscribed to, which I'm sure it will be, being the first one again.
Yes, we've been very lucky. One of our theatre shows has sold out already, which I'm really impressed by. We're doing well with tickets for our other ticketed events. So if people are local and would like to book, really recommend having a look now and booking something before things fill up. But also this is a nice time of year, and we've been able to avoid the other walking festivals in the area. So we border North Kesteven, who have a walking festival that's been going on for many years now, and we didn't want to be at the same time as them. But we also were aware of the Lincolnshire Wolds Outdoor Festival, which started as a walking festival and then became more. So there's kayaking and horse riding and outdoor activities. And so we've sort of put it before both of those and before it might get too hot or too wet.
You can never tell, can you?
You can never tell, though.
And all of these are going to take place rain or shine, I assume?
Yeah, unless it's like really severe and, just not safe to go ahead. If it's just a small shower, you'll go ahead. Make sure that you're dressed for the weather is all I can say. And dressed for the ground conditions. So some of them will be obviously across woodlands, across fields, public footpaths, and then others will mostly be in sort of more public parks and town centres. So just make sure that you're aware of where you're going and you're dressed for the occasion. Alongside the guided walks, we are also going to be putting out some, resources for self-led trails. So if people can't attend the guided walks, there will be resources for where public footpaths are, where good trails are, so you can take yourself on a walk.
It was quite the chore to get from East Yorkshire over to Lincolnshire before the Humber Bridge opened. It either meant getting the ferry across or driving around the entire River Humber, although I'm told now it's supposed to be called the Humber Estuary, but I'll stick with River Humber. Actually, we did have a hovercraft across the Humber for a while. I thought it was in the 1970s, but apparently it was in 1969. It didn't last long, less than a year. All I can remember is it was very loud. But when you're a tiny child, everything seems to be loud. So that just about does it for this week. If you do have news or suggestions for podcast guests, please do get in touch through jim@walkingpost.com. I'm always looking for guests, and of course there is no charge. Whether it's about a new trail, a new book, a walking festival that's coming up, or someone who has done an amazing, unusual or interesting walk somewhere. So I hope you enjoyed this week's walkingpost.com podcast, and I hope you have a great week ahead, hopefully with a walk somewhere. And don't forget to change those clocks if you do have any that need changing manually. Until next time, happy trails! Walking Post from walkingpost.com is an Air Coastal Media Limited production.